Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us one more night from Beyond the Booth. Phil Harris, Randall Cunningham here with you to wrap up all the action of the opening round in Georgia, Alabama, and North Carolina, round two in Tennessee. So we'll have a lot of information to relay to you. Of course, Phil joins us every week from the WQSB scoreboard. Phil, a lot of action in Alabama this week.
Oh, yeah, first round of the playoffs. And, of course, in our coverage area, we've got to where, we have a lot of teams that go deep in the playoffs now. I can remember several years back where first or second round a lot of time was it for our teams. But, I really think, and I've talked about this before, that I think in Alabama, in Northeast Alabama, where like Fife and Piedmont have been kind of the models that have, been successful through the playoffs, but I think those two teams have kind of brought everybody up to their level. And we have a lot of teams from around in our Northeast Alabama area that does well, especially 1, 2, and 3A in the playoffs. And I think those two kind of are the models, and everybody else just kind of followed suit because it's brought Pisgah up to that level. It's brought Sylvania up to that level, and schools like that. And so, you can sit back and not like teams like Piedmont and Fife, but they've carried everybody to a higher level in high school football in Northeast Alabama.
Well, I directly relate Piedmont and Coach Smith to what's happening at Sylvania. I think Coach Van takes it as a personal challenge, matching up each year with 4 300-game winners on his schedule. It's a daunting task, but as a young coach, it's a task you should gladly accept any day of the week.
Yeah, because, you set the bar. The bar is set. You just have to follow suit, and your limitations, your expectations, and you have to get better to compete at that level, because if you can compete at that level, you can beat anybody. So, and your kids feed off of that too. If they're competing with the Piedmonts, they know they can play with the Mars.
That 100%. And Phil, we got a special guest that's from one of those programs. I feel like if you look at we had everybody in the Valley win in round one. And I credit a lot of that success to the success that came out of Marion County in South Pittsburg, and Marion County has made everybody better. And tonight on the show, we've got defensive passing game coordinator, Coach Ricky Gilley, and his son, Cavin, joining us to talk about their big third-round matchup here at the top of the hour.
Oh, yeah. They're one of those teams that set the bar for everybody else. And it's been that way at South Pittsburg for a long time.
A very long time.
Hats off to that program. It is totally football-driven, a community that loves football. And they have been successful year after year. It seems like this year is one of those exceptional years.
Absolutely.
Teams that don't come along very often.
Well, Phil, I think that's right. That team, and I wouldn't say it in front of Coach Gilley. Coach Gilley, I booked him 3 weeks ago, and he said, and his concern was, Randall, what if we're not playing no more? That's a coach, and that's how a coach should feel. And of course, he said that, and I understood. But at the time, when I booked him, and I even told him this week, I'd pick 4 teams from this area to go to the state finals, and South Pittsburg was one of them. And I was like, and don't let that intimidate you, none, Coach, that I picked you to win the state championship.
Yeah, and it's understandable. So, and that's like, we was thinking about possibly getting Luke Pruitt on next week.
Yeah.
And of course they've got a game to play this coming week. They've got to go to Tanner. Tanner's a high-scoring team, and you never know when a team might fall flat. I mean, Pisgah will be favored, but, there's always, you don't know what, happens during the week. Do kids get sick? You go there and you lay an egg, and you have a bunch of turnovers and penalties that keeps Tanner in the ball game. So, you don't want to jinx them. But hopefully, I'm just going to wait, and and after the game's over on Friday, I'll get him, and maybe he'll be on with us next week, because that'll be getting into the quarterfinal round, and it'll be really exciting because the best week to practice high school football is when you got a game on Thanksgiving week.
It is, and we also Coach Gilley being our last contact that kind of in my network. As South Pittsburg moves on, he's agreed to come back if they get into that finals to maybe give us one more appearance, Phil. And that would be great to have Coach Pruitt on next week. Maybe we can get Coach Van if they win the week after. And we could just, I love this having a coach on during the playoff season.
Yeah, well, maybe we get a couple in one night, especially when you get down here to the end. And you've got other, like down in here in Alabama, I could probably touch base with Michael Davis or Coach Benefield.
Yeah,
something like that when you get closer, especially if you get to the point to where you're playing for or getting near playing for a state championship.
Absolutely. Well, Phil, I'm going to start in North Georgia. For lack of a better word, it was a rough time for our North Georgia teams. Then I'll come on to Tennessee. Opening round, and let's face facts. North Georgia probably are one of the areas that has, I mean, most of your matchups going to be the Atlanta area, and you're going to face really good football teams when you get to this point. And historically, teams in North Georgia has struggled once they get past the North Georgia area. And frankly, we got a team we'll talk about winning that went down and played a private school in Atlanta. Those are tough tasks for those North Georgia teams.
Well, I think what happens, you don't have small schools in Georgia anymore like you do over here.
True.
So the level of competition is really good. But what happens to the North Georgia team, we'll have some pretty good teams over there. But it seems like when they hit the playoffs, they hit the private school ranks.
Yeah.
And that's tough on public schools in North Georgia. They've got good football teams, but when you look at playing against private schools, it makes it tough. And so really it seems like in North Georgia, just the goal is to make the playoffs and just see what happens, to see if we can win around. But it's always seemed like it's been that way. And I think the private schools are so, it's what's happened in Tennessee.
Yeah.
The private schools are so good that the public schools don't play them anymore because they don't have to, and that makes it hard because, like we've talked about before, it would be great to see a Baylor play McCallie. I mean, a Baylor play Red Bank every once in a while, or Bradley Central play against McCallie. But, you're playing in a whole different world, and, our public schools have nothing to gain by playing private schools anymore.
Yeah, and you're going to hear some amazing facts from this Georgia run here, Phil. Let me start up on the top end. Macon County over Christian Heritage, 30-7. Dalton advances to the second round, 39-17 over Greater Atlanta Christian. And you talked about it. We've already talked about two private schools. And then Ringo falls to Wesleyan, another private school, 35-14. Lumpkin County all over Gordon Lee, 52-6. And Phil, I think with Gordon Lee, maybe a year ahead of where they need to be. Just getting there was quite an accomplishment for the Gordon Lee Trojans.
Yeah, definitely. So, they won a lot of close games. It's a team that's gotten better as the years gone on. But they fall short in the playoffs. But, yeah, it is a very young team. And I think they got out of this team what they expected, getting the playoffs, getting better week after week. They kind of had a disappointing loss in the year losing to Ringo. I think that's one that they would like to have gotten. But still, they finished 5-5 and made the playoffs. But it's a building block for this team because, like we talked about, it's a very young football team.
Tryon over another private school, St. Francis. Tryon gets the big win, 49-0 over St. Francis. Dade County over Mount Pisgah Christian, 49-7. And Phil, we've said it all year on here. Dade County's a good football team.
Oh yeah, Coach. When Coach Hammond was on with us last week, we talked about Dade County because he has ties up there, and it was a 4-6 team that was a lot better than that 4-6 record.
Absolutely,
because the teams they played were unreal. They probably played Trine, who you just spoke about Trine, who may be the best team they've had in school history. Played Trine toe to toe. So it just goes to show you that you don't go by that 4-6 record that they had at County went into the playoffs with. Because when I saw that they won, I was not surprised. And I was surprised by how much they won by, but I was not surprised because that's a good football program.
Rome over Sprayberry 56-0, and Berman over White County 40-17. Let's hit these second round matchups, Phil. And I expanded the area. If you're kind of in the Chattanooga TV market, I went ahead and included everybody on here. So we have some teams still left, but let me run through these real fast. GHSA Class Division A, Division I, the smallest of the schools. Dade County at Commerce, and then Elbert County, the home of McCole Hardman that plays for the Chiefs. Elbert County comes to Tryon. I think that small school, North Georgia's got a shot here.
Yeah. Well, of course, that Commerce, I've heard of them. I think they beat the year Gordon Lee had their real good season about 3 years ago. I think they lost that Commerce, and Commerce beat them pretty handily. So that's going to be a stiff challenge for Dade County.
Yes.
But I still wouldn't count them out. I mean, because, to me, I look at Dade County as being maybe would be a 9-2 program right now because of the difficulty of the schedule they have played. So that's probably going to be a good one, though. That'd be one to go watch because that's probably going to be two good football teams.
And I like Tryon over Elbert County. Elbert County is a traditional power, good football program, but I like Tryon to get them there. Moving up. Go ahead.
Tryon's probably the best team they've had in a long time. Of course, I saw them early in the year. They're very good and have not missed one beat all year long. So, it's a very good football program.
Class A, Division II, only local team left open, and they're not really local, more mid-state. Greene County at Bowden. Moving up to GHSA Class 2, Model is at Callaway. Union County is at Rockmart, which is closer to home, and a team that's pretty close to home here, but they finally hit the private school. North Mary travels to Fellowship Christian.
Yeah, North Mary getting in there. That's that'll be a challenge for them. But like you say, it just seems like private schools or Christian schools that everybody in our neck of the woods has to play over in Georgia.
Yeah, I do like Rockmart's matchup with Union County. I think Rockmart's got a chance to move to that third round in 2A. In 3A, no one really close. Berman at Cedar Grove, Gilmore at Monroe area. Gilmore, I guess, is the most local school. In 4A, Levet at Central of Carroll. In Cedartown, just barely outside of our area, is at North Alcoa. In 5A, though, East Side at Cartersville. Cartersville's kind of become a power ever since Trevor Lawrence and the run of quarterbacks down there.
Yeah. Well, they've been solid for a long time. A lot of good athletes comes out of Cartersville. It's grown into being a big area, a big hub for
it. It is grown
tremendously.
It's
not a big city, but it's a place where people have moved to kind of sort of get outside of Atlanta. But it's still a growing area, and of course, it's not far from Atlanta. But you can be out of the outskirts of Atlanta and get to play for a good football and athletic program. Sports is huge. I've been down there for sporting events. Sports is huge in the Carterville area, not just football.
Yes. Harlem is at Jefferson. Another matchup, real local here. Dalton is at Creekside, Phil. Done a little research on this Creekside team. Of course, Creekside was the home of the Berry twins, Eric Berry. Great football tradition at Creekside. They're 10-1, and the only game they lost was to Mater Dei out of L.A. County, out of California, and they run over everybody else. So Dalton has got a handful in this Creekside team.
Yeah, big challenge for Dalton. Of course, but that's pretty good for Dalton just to get to the second round. A lot of times they get knocked out first round, but they've got an opportunity to get to play in that second round, and that's huge for the program over there.
Langston Hughes is at Rome. Rome's still available, local team. And Carrollton gets a visit from one of the most traditionally rich programs in the state of Georgia in 7A. Valdosta will be at Carrollton. And that's pretty much it for North Georgia, Phil.
You reckon there'll be a big crowd at that Valdosta and Carrollton
Yeah.
game?
We'll that'll be a 10,000 one right there.
Yeah, more than likely.
Over in North Carolina, just quickly, the two teams we've been kind of following. Hayesville goes down, losing bad to East Randolph, 30-point loss for them. But Murphy pulls it out over Bishop McGinnis, 59-14. And hey, guess who Murphy plays this week? Mount Airy, the Mayberry town. Mount Airy is where, where Mayberry is. Mount Airy was Mayberry, so that's a good game, and Mount Airy is a good football program. So Murphy travels to Mount Airy.
Yeah, that would be a great trip. A lot of history there, but Murphy year in year out. I don't hear much about North Carolina schools, but Murphy's a name you hear a lot.
Yeah,
they've had some good football players and had good football programs over the years, so they're well known, even though we're way far away from it.
Small school, very small school, and have produced two first-round draft picks from Tennessee, and Carl Pickens and Heath Schuler. So, definitely football rich. Let's jump over to Tennessee, and we'll wind through that pretty quick. Alcoa over Austin East, 47-6. Baylor wins their first round opening up match, 49-7 over Christian Brothers. McCallie, 49-10 over Brentwood Academy. Those two schools both play next week, Phil, in the private school semifinals. That will be Knox Catholic at Baylor. NBA coached by former Dayton City School graduate Marty Uvenard. I grew up with Marty at McCallie. Both at home, both favorites. And if they win November the 30th at Finley Stadium, Baylor versus McCallie for a state championship.
Yeah. And there's a good chance of that happening too, because that's two good teams. And God, it'd be fun to see the rematch in that one. Because it's going to be a dandy one, especially since they know each other so well. But how have the mighty fallen? Brentwood Academy used to, was a dominant program, but they have really slipped in the last few years, and not near. That's one of those I can remember back when Brentwood Academy used to beat Alcoa.
Yeah.
So it has really, slipped for them over the years. But in trade, you've got Baylor and McCallie's playing at that type of level that Brentwood Academy used to play at.
Brentwood Academy finishes the year 2-9, Phil. I never thought I'd see that day. I never thought I would see this day. To finish up that private school Chattanooga area division, of course, it's going to be Boyd Buchanan 28 over Northpoint Christian 3. Their semifinal matchup, they get who do they get? I got it wrote down here. They get Davidson Academy out of Nashville. They travel over here. So Boyd, McCallie, and Baylor, one game from a state final.
Yeah, that's something else. And you talked about all year long that Boyd Buchanan was one of those teams that you thought had an opportunity, even though they haven't really gotten quite to that level yet. But you felt like this could be the year that they get to that level. And so far, you've been right. It looks like they may be playing in the state championship round.
I hope so. Shout out to the Highfield family. Phil, they were the one that gave me my start at Sprint. They owned the chain of Sprint store. Their grandson, a football player at Boyd Buchanan. Shout out to them, and I'm sure they're riding high on this little journey too. Jumping back over to the public school, I think outside of Baylor and McCallie, the best team in the state of Tennessee, Bradley Central 37, Maryville 14. And people will say this is a 7-3 Maryville team, but it's still Maryville, Phil.
Oh, yeah. And then, really basically, and we talked about this, but Macon County got everybody's best during the regular season.
Yes,
and
sir.
some games may have been closer than, we kind of sort of thought. But we knew when the playoffs started, you would really see the talent level, and they would raise their level of play. And dominating over Maryville, that's what you kind of expect out of a Bradley Central team that is this talented.
Absolutely. A team that I really like down in 1A, I think on a collision course with South Pittsburg, who we'll talk to about a little later. Coalfield, 11-1, only lost at Sequatchie in a very highly contested game. Coalfield 31-0 over Rockwood. Over in Marion County, the for Coach Tim Starkey, the 11-0 run kind of came crashing down on them. And Phil, I was told before the game by a very good source, I was like that other division, and we're talking about Hampton and East Robertson, were two very good football teams, and they come east, and then Bledsoe goes west, and now you've got East Robinson over Marion, 24-7, and then Hampton in a great game, from what I understand, 36-31 over Bledsoe. So the Valley takes a lump there.
Yeah, it took a big hit, and of course, that's not what we talked about. When you get into this region play, you'll go against teams that you can't really go by records, because sometimes the regions they play in and then their non-region schedule is very tough, and it makes them a lot better football teams, because when you just run over people, you don't get much out of it.
Yeah.
But like Marion County is going to get a great look when they play a team like where they play Day County.
Absolutely.
But if your region is too top heavy, then your kids don't get better. For one thing, they don't have a lot of diversity. They don't get to play a lot of games 4 quarters, and that's what makes teams tough in the playoffs is when they have a lot of 4-quarter games, and they're forced to play because and you need adversity when you play high school football. If everything's easy all the time, then when you have adversity, you don't know how to deal with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I saw a great example of that. A very young Sequatchie County team travels to 12-0 Meigs County, and Phil, we lose 42-28, down 35-14. But this Sequatchie team has played South Pittsburg, has played Marion, has played Jasper, or has played Marion, has played Giles, has played Coalfield, have played a schedule that's just all teams still in the playoffs. Meigs County hadn't had that experience. Sequatchie County down 21, never panicked. Score 14 points, get the ball back with about 6 minutes to go, down 7, 35-28, and drove the ball 50 yards and just stalled out. Got the ball back again. They bring a jailbreak, moving the ball again. They bring a jailbreak Bix with about 1 minute to play. Sam's got a choice. Our quarterback, Sam Evans, got a choice to get sacked or get the ball up and let a receiver make a play. Well, on this, he kind of overthrew it, and Meigs County came back and caught it. But you're talking about a 6-4 regular season team that was probably more tested than the 10-0 regular season team, and it turned into one heck of a game.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm saying. When you play in a tough schedule like Sequatchie County did, you throw that record out the window. That 6-4 is not an indication of how good this team is, especially if you're playing against a team that has not been tested all that often. So, when you get in that gut-wrenching type of game, those teams that season like that seem to do well. But, this is one of those times where they just didn't make the play at the end. Of course, that goes to they got behind too far. Had they been closer toward the end, they might have been found a way to pull this thing off. But, sometimes when you get almost caught up, kind of sort of you get there toward the end and kind of panic sets in.
Yeah.
And, you was playing smooth, but then, time gets to catching up with you and you press a little bit, and sometimes you'll make a mistake.
Yeah, I think we went just a little too fast, in those last 2 drives, because you're battling the clock too, and especially on the second one, we got the ball back with 2 minutes to play, 2 timeouts, 75 yards to go. and was moving the ball. And when Sam threw the interception, it was probably under 50 seconds from about the 35-yard line. And it's different in high school football than it is college football. Sam Evans is capable of throwing the ball 50 yards, but Sam Evans hadn't done that a lot in games. Those college quarterbacks have, you know. So he completed one of the prettiest passes I've seen in high school level for 45 yards. Great catch down in the corner of the end zone. Sequatchie gave it all. It was a fun season, and I salute my kids over there, Phil. They all, you know, after the game, and I've not officially announced that I won't be back next year, but all the kids, they know Anna Lee, and they know she's going into high school, and she's got her dreams. But it was so nice that the kids all come up to me and ask me to come back somehow, some way, even part-time. I had 3 or 4 kids just, you're going to be back next year. And Phil, that's what we do it for. You know, that was a special moment for me.
Yeah, that's what makes it worthwhile. It's like when I get to go every once in a while, I went to Team of the Week pep rally at 5. And, you know, it's great to see folks out in public. I mean, they don't see you much because you're on the radio and they don't know you very well. They'll know you by face. But, you know, they're very appreciative of what you do on Friday nights. We always make fun of ourselves that we're, you know, we've got no life, so we come tell scores on the radio because nobody else, you know, we're not involved in nothing and we have no life, so we just come to the scoreboard. But it's so appreciated by people, and when you get out in the public and they let you know that, it makes your job worthwhile that you promote the kids and promote the communities. Win, lose, or draw, it doesn't matter, you know, because there's a whole lot more important things than football. Because there's so many lessons in life learned. And the biggest thing I always say is memories.
Yeah.
You know, Sequatchie County, they got beat, but that team walks away knowing they gave it all they had and they had a chance. And instead of walking out the field getting beat 49-7 and just kind of look at the season as being a disappointment. So they can, you know, step away with a good taste in their mouth because they gave it all they had in the last game. And they went down fighting. And, you know, what else could you ask for in a group of kids?
No more than 3 or 4 seniors play meaning time. That's a team with a future in front of them, Phil. Very nice moment at the end. You talk about, it's about moments. The parents, the friends, the family, the supporters quickly exit the stands. The field house was behind the stands where we were sitting. And after Coach McIntyre stopped talking to the team, he dismissed the kids. And everyone that was sitting on that side of the field was outside the field house to give those kids a standing ovation. I got chill bumps that night. I've got them again. That's what high school football is about for me. That feeling, that love, that expression.
Yeah, because, I mean, it lets the kids know you're disappointed and you're disappointed for them. You know, they're not losers. You know, but everybody hurts, you know, parents, you know, because, you know, you think about how parents are, they hurt just as much as the kids do when they see their final game when they lose, you know, it hurts them just as much. But it brings communities, it brings kids, it brings families closer together, you know, and that's what adversity is about. You learn from, you know, things that don't always go your way. Sometimes when you win all the time, you take it for granted.
And those kids played through multiple personal fouls, a couple of really cheap shots, and I'm not here to criticize Meigs, but there's no way around it. A couple of real blatant cheap shots, Phil. A couple of very questionable calls, and the kids didn't give up. Congratulations to Meigs, they win the football game, but our kids fought through it all. So salute, and hopefully I will be back at least to do maybe 5-6 games next year, Phil. Maybe not get all 10 of them, but might be able to get all 5, 6, 7 games. Got some things we want to do. Maybe add a third man to the booth. To, you know, if they're on the road and Annalee's in the band or cheerleading or whatever she's doing, she's on the road. Maybe have someone go with Jeff through the game. Because 10 years ago we had lost this slot, and one of my proudest accomplishments is we have them on the radio now, and I'm not losing this slot for Sequatchie County football. Very proud of that in my years of doing football.
And it's enjoyable, and, you know, it's great to have the kids on there. I wish that's like down here where we're at, that, you know, they follow certain schools, but we don't have radio station here don't cover like a DeKalb Jackson County game of the week right now. And there's some great games that go on that don't get put on radio. That's kind of disappointing.
It is. And that's how we got our start with the late Leroy Stansel. You, me, and Leroy traveled all over DeKalb County from game to game. Leroy on play-by-play, God rest his heart, didn't know how to rub two sticks together about football, but he got the down, the distance, and the play out. Then you on the color, and the world's most dangerous sideline man, myself, had a lot of fun out covering those games.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for better than Leroy. Everybody loved him. I mean, everywhere you went, they just welcomed him with open arms.
They did.
He was one of a kind.
Well, there's a reason he came and got you and me. He knew we had no radio experience, but we had pretty good football experience. So I always thought we made a great team. And Leroy had that voice for radio, Phil. He had
he definitely did. He was a great interviewer.
Yes.
He was a great interviewer. And who knows, God's puts people in crazy situations and crazy places. But, Leroy was able to both help get us started in radio. And it's been great for us. And, God rest his soul. He didn't leave this earth without making his mark.
No. Year 30, I think it is for you, and year 31 for me. So that's 60 years of football. That's you were at a Winn-Dixie, and I was at a Radio Shack, and he kind of came in and found us. And maybe one phone call we made. I always, the reason I'm here doing it today is Leroy Stansel, and I always shout him out. So that's well put.
He, like I said, he is one of a kind. He's missed, and
absolutely.
And I think every day, him and Ron Livengood both are two people that I think the world for giving me the opportunity and believing in me. Both of them did. Ron turned over Scottsboro football to me when he decided to retire, and and I moved on from that. But I learned so much from that, and so. It's been fun, and and you can't do this without people being involved with you. You can't do it on your own. People have to help you, and it's great when people will step aside and help you and give you opportunities, because if they don't, you're not going anywhere.
And I'm pretty sure Travis Hickman at WEPG, the Nick and Jack Network, 93 Country Roads, they lost money that first year or two doing Sequatchie County football just for buying equipment. We didn't get equipment paid probably the 3 or 3. So that's what the reason we have it today is because of that.
Another one on a point, cool like Jeff Allen, I worked with WSB just as soon as he found out I quit at K98 and had enough. The next Tuesday, I got a phone call from him. Yeah. And, the rest is history. I've been there. This is my 16th year. It's great fun. We have built a program that people enjoy listening to. I don't guess we do everything right, but we try to do what we can, be as professional as we can, and try to give accurate scores, because so many other stations around us depend on us. They listen to us to get scores for their shows, especially TV. So we need to be accurate, because we lead the way for everybody else. So. But it's just great fun, and it's great to be around the people that I'm involved with.
And Phil, even this podcast, we started in August. We didn't know if we'd have a person one, and I looked down. We got 15 people on live streaming with us. We'll have 1,000 downloads tomorrow. People want news about high school football, and they're willing to go to some links to get it. So if you want to sponsor something high school related, you want to step in and sponsor what Phil and I do and what we're going to expand, let me know next year. We'll set up some sponsorship opportunities. And Phil, if you don't want to get in for $1,000, maybe being a team sponsor, here's a chance to get in for maybe 1/10 of that or 20% of that, and sponsor some high school football content.
Yeah, and who's to say? I mean, I've talked to Coach Hammond about this. I accidentally called him the other day. We were talking about things about high school football, and I kind of have a dream of like maybe on a Thursday evening, like from 5 to 6:30. Of course, you'd have to get it on a radio station. I think it would be a whole lot more popular But if you had a show between 5 and 6:30, you had a couple of guests, and especially down here in North Alabama, where you preview games coming up in Northeast Alabama and have about an hour and a half show. Because, Thursday nights when everybody's anxious about high school football, there's not really anything going on. You had an easy day of practice. Kids are anxious. Fans are anxious. Coaches are anxious. And that's a good time to have a show on to where you can kind of get your mind off of the game tomorrow and listen to what's going on around you. And I think that would be a good thing. And Coach Hammond says, Bill, that would be a great thing. He goes, that would be so enjoyable to coaches and assistant coaches to get to listen to something, because they're going over in their head time and time again of what's going to go on Friday night, what to expect. And therefore, it gives you a chance to get your mind off of things. And I think that might be a good thing if we can sell a radio station on doing something like that.
Absolutely. I haven't even told you this. I got a weatherman that's willing to give us game day forecast too, from up here in this area, but he can give it for North Alabama too. We've talked about it, so we may be chipping some pieces together. Be nice to have game day forecast and all that, right there live, one spot on Thursday.
Yeah, because, especially gets this time of year, weather's important.
Yeah.
First part, it's going to be hot. It might get you a thunder shower or whatnot, but as it goes on, this affects fall games. Like last week, I felt like the time change affects kids body-wise, because they're an hour messed up. So fatigue can set in. I think everybody this week is a little more transitioned into that, so it's not going to be an issue. But weather becomes an issue if you have rain or it gets cold. It don't look like weather's going to be an issue this week, but it can be this time of year because, offenses slow down as cold weather comes.
You think about
defense is constant. So, teams that play with a lot of offense wants a fast track. When it gets cold weather, it slows things down because these kids wear a little burpier clothing. Maybe they don't breathe as good. Maybe they're congested. They can't run quite as fast. So defense becomes a constant because it's all about effort.
You think about some of those teams traveling from the East time zone to the Central time zone. We had teams that were used to kicking off at 7 Eastern that was actually kicking off at 5 Eastern. It's a huge difference. So, they're from, or not 5 Eastern, would go the other way. We fell back. They traveled over. So we kicked off at 7 Eastern Central or Eastern time. And the Sequatchie County team lives in Central. So they're used to kicking off an hour later. We are kicking off in the middle of the night, it feels like. That's a big part of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Fatigue sets in, and it sets in for fans, too, because, and it's dark for a long time, and that sets in. Because like now, you sit down and eat supper, and it's 6 o'clock, and you're wore out.
Yep. Well, Phil, let me get through these Tennessee scores and matchups real fast. We'll save this South Pittsburg game until Coach Gilley's on. South Pittsburg 58, Clay County nothing. And I'm telling you, nobody expect that. That's good. I want to talk about two teams I think are peaking at the right time of the year, Phil. One of those being Walker Valley, 37-11 over Lenoir City. And Giles County, the winner of Sequatchie County's district, has a very good McMinn Central team travel over to Pulaski and gets walloped 70-29. Both of those teams are kind of those 8-2, 7-3 teams that are in the playoffs, and that's going to be a tough out for somebody.
Yeah, because, I was afraid McMinn Central, because the region there is not real strong.
Yes.
And I was afraid that was going to happen to them. They've had a great year. That you're stepping into a beehive by going, playing against the level of competition they played against last week.
Yep. Gordonsville eliminates Whitwell 35-15. We'll also talk about Gordonsville in the matchup later on. Also, Smith County over Fayetteville 45-12. Upperman stays undefeated over Stone Memorial 28-14. That's the two teams that had beat Eastridge and Hickson the week before. And York Institute 34-7 over Oneida. One school from out west, Knox Catholic, went all the way to Memphis University School and won 31-21. And Phil, this is what it sets up in the state of Tennessee in the local area. Gordonsville, who we talked about, is at South Pittsburg for the quarterfinals. Winners goes to the semifinals. In 3A, Giles County travels to Meigs County in the quarterfinals. And I'm going to pick Giles County. I've seen them both in the last 3 weeks. Giles County is a better football team. Of course, I'd take South Pittsburg in that first one. Walker Valley is at Clinton, and I think this is a dogfight. I don't know if Walker Valley can do it, but I'm going to pick Walker Valley. In 6A, go ahead. Go ahead, Phil.
Oh, I was going to say that, Walker Valley just is a surprise to me to be in the position they're in. I would have never guessed they would be in the position they're in right now.
Playing for semifinals.
Yeah.
You're going to have, in Cleveland, of course, lost to Jefferson County, but you've got two teams 10 miles apart over in Bradley County that's got a chance to be in the semifinals, both of them. One more score, of course, I just kind of run past that. Bearden, who's a good football team, big victory for Bearden last week, is at Bradley Central. Phil, all my picks for the Chattanooga area is still alive. South Pittsburg, Bradley Central, Boyd, and either McCallie or Baylor. I think this Meigs County team goes down this week to Giles. But Walker Valley's the wild card. If they can pull it off at Clinton, who knows?
Yeah, wouldn't that be something to say they pull that off? Because at first the playoffs, this team's getting better and better. The program's getting better. They beat Oklahoma. They beat some of those traditional schools, but, you didn't realize how good they really were. And then all of a sudden they, smack down and win 2 playoff games. And, the sky's the limit. They're playing on house money because they're in a position they've never been in before.
I got a question here, Phil, and then we'll go to Alabama. Got about 20 minutes left before Coach Gilley's here. The Tennessee State Finals are in Chattanooga at Finley Stadium. Thursday night is private school night. The 3 divisions of the private school will play. Field 1, 4, and 7. Friday night, the way they break it up is the odd number schools, I believe it is, will play 1, 3, and 5. So the 1 would be South Pittsburg, and 3, of course, 5 would be Walker Valley. And then Saturday night is 2, 4, and 6, which 6 would be Bradley Central. So you could have multiple teams playing on every night of the week down at Finley Stadium. There's no way I'm going to let McCallie and Baylor get off of my view and not see them. And also, if South Pittsburgh's there, I'm going because, I've got too many ties to those folks down there, South Pittsburgh. And also, if Bradley Central plays in the final, the last game of the night, Saturday night, I want to go see Boo Carter play,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, definitely so. You've been nice to be on, maybe 1 or 2 days, because I remember when we went to Nashville, all 3 games was in 1 day.
Yeah.
And so you got to see everybody, but boy, has it changed. But, that creates a lot more interest in high school football team. You got a lot more teams playing for championships, and, and it's good to see that because it would be nice to go see South Pittsburg, Baylor, McCallie, and Buchanan, and also Bradley Central. It'd be nice to see. And then who's to say Walker Valley might not get there?
Our buddy over at Fife has won, 6, 7, and Coach Benefield, and, of course, Gary Rankin over at Boyd has won 17. I've been to 2 of them with schools I've been covering. Never won one of them, Phil. So getting to that state finals and winning it, experience you had, that's a precious experience for a young man.
Oh, yeah, definitely so. I mean, getting to play for that and winning it, it just creates so many memories. It is so fun for the communities that are involved. And, it's just a great experience for everybody just to have an opportunity. Like I've always said, the greatest week to get to practice football is Thanksgiving week. I mean, it's just a special week because you spend Thursday on a holiday with your family knowing you get to play a football game that next Friday or on the next night. And everybody's more worried about that than they are the Thanksgiving dinner. And that's what just makes it so much fun because everybody's just so excited. They're more excited than you are.
Absolutely. Well, why don't you take the next 10 or so minutes, and I'll try not to interrupt you. You hit us up with North Alabama because I know it's opening round. A lot of games. Next week we'll spend more time breaking down the Alabama brackets, but bring us up to date down there.
Okay, well, I'm just going to go over the North Alabama scores, and then we'll go through and tell who plays who in the second round. But in 1A for North Alabama, it was Lynn over Shoals Christian 53-7. Coosa Christian beat Spring Garden 28-0. Hackleburg was a winner over Marion County 47-8. Valley Head got past the first round as they beat Raglan 30-14. It was Winterboro over Decatur Heritage, and that was an upset 42-37. Pickens County, who's always in the hunt in Class 1A, they beat Addison 32-20. Wadley, who's a team to look out for, they beat Cedar Bluff 62-10, and South Lamar was a winner over Meek 32-14. Then we jumped to Class 2A, and of course, a lot of interest in 2A. Tuscaloosa Academy beat Red Bay 35-16. Collinsville got beat by Southeastern 28-21. Tanner come from behind to beat Lamar County 64-55. Pisgah won big over Pleasant Valley 44-20. Fife knocked off West End 48-0. Interesting stat in this game, Randy. We talk about throwing the football that Fife don't do much. They threw about 4 times for 4 touchdowns. West End 48-0.
That's Coach Benefield.
That's news. I guess. Of course, I want to get with Coach Benefield. I wish I could have got to see him the other day, and we had talked about this. Are you trying to be more diversified offensively, to be more balanced? But he's going to laugh at you. But I know with this kind of things he knows to win a state championship this year, he's going to have to show that he can throw the football to make defenses work on that. Because he's looking down the line at a Pisgah or a B.B. Comer where throwing the football may be the difference in them winning another state championship. And I think he knows that. He needs to let the other teams know he can throw the football so that they can work on that, because everybody's going to jump up and crowd the line of scrimmage on them. That's exactly what they're going to do, try to stop the running game. So Fife's got to have something offensively to get the defense off of them. And because, Logan Anderson is the key to that football team, but you've got to open up some running lanes for him because everybody's going to key him in every round.
You're 100%. And Coach Mann was talking about that offense, Phil, and he said, he runs it a lot, but he gives you way more looks and way more different variations than anybody would ever dream. While it's a run-based offense, it's very complex if you're sitting on the other side of the football.
Yeah, he said, that's like Coach Benefield would joke and tell you. He goes, the one thing they don't know is they don't know if we're going to go right or left. That's our surprise. And that's the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, they show you all kind of different things, but you've got to stay balanced because you don't know if they're going to go weak side, strong side, what we're going to counter. You just do not know. You just got to stay at home. You can't overplay because they'll wear you out.
And how you're going to block it. Sometimes he might block it with the guard rolling, or sometimes he might just block down. Sometimes when I watch film, the Fife, I'm more amazed by. I think they block the same play more different ways than any team I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it's basically the same play, but they'll run different, a lot of traps, a lot of counter type stuff, which is a lot of times is traps. But they do so many things to you. It's unreal.
Yep,
what they can do. A team that just basically is going to line up and run the football, but it's more than. I guess it's kind of like the old wishbone days. You just don't know where they're going.
Yeah.
Let's go through the other scores. Of course, Lexington beat Aliceville 54-28. It was Locust Fork over Northside Mountain 54-7. Sullivan beat Acton 43-12 in Class 3A. Gordo is a team to be reckoned with. They beat Phil Campbell 56-6. Geraldine still impressive. They beat Susan Moore 56-14. Lauderdale County, there's another great football team. They beat Fayette County 35-14. Piedmont surprised J.B. Pennington 44-14. Piedmont now 6-5, but they're a perennial playoff team. You know, this time of year they seem to play better than maybe what their record is.
The kids went to state finals last year too.
Yeah, because, I mean, you know, they expect to be playing this time of year.
Yeah.
They raised their level of play. Madison Academy, an impressive winner over Hope's Bluff, 57-20. Mars Hill Bible continues to roll. They beat Oakland 63-7. Sylvania, they knocked off Vinemont 41-0. As Aiden Parham had another great night, 182 yards and 3 touchdowns. Of course, Winfield was a winner over Colbert County, 43-21. In Class 4A, it was Priceville over Dora, 18-14. Brooks beat Condiana 56-42. Westminster over Oak Grove 35-14. Dexter beat Fultondale 43-27. West Morgan, who's going to be a team to beat in 4A, they beat Etowah 56-0. Corner was a winner over Randolph 42-21. Cherokee County, they went over Central Florence 56-28. Haleyville knocked off North Jackson 33-14. Then in Class 5A, Ramsey beat West Point. Ramsey, one of the top teams in 5A. They beat West Point 50-0. Leeds over Arab 33-7. A little bit of a surprise that how that game kind of got away from Arab. They fell down early, just couldn't get going offensively. Russellville beat Fairfield 38-21. Moody beat Scottsboro 28-10. A little bit of a surprise there, but Moody's got an outstanding football team. I think they had a hiccup against Southside. Otherwise, this team has been very good, very underrated. Gunners were impressive win over Springville 31-7. John Carroll beat Fairview 22-14. Boaz surprised Southside 10-7. Pleasant Grove, another top team in 5A, they beat Lawrence County 49-17. In 6A, Parker won over May Jemison 62-14. Oxford, they're back. They beat Athens 45-27. Gadsden City beat Gardendale 44-16. Hartselle was a winner over Centerpoint 28-18. Muscle Shoals beat Pinson Valley 42-7. Fort Payne got a win in the opening round, something they don't do very often, but it was an impressive win over Mortimer Jordan 45-28. Clay Chalkwell beat Coleman 49-6. Mountain Brook was a winner over Buckhorn 35-14. And in 7A, Hoover, who's had a terrible year really, but they were able to win in the first round of the playoffs. They win over James Clemens 42-16. Hewitt Trussell beat Bob Jones 56-14. Thompson, the number 1 team in Class 7A, they beat Florence 42-0. And Vestavia Hills, they win over Austin 38-17.
Phil, just quick, you know, the bigger schools in Alabama, it almost seems like everybody's talented, but where the smaller schools, it seems you might have 6 or 7 good teams in a class. Is it my perception that you usually, like in 7A and 6A, you have good teams at every level, but you have just a couple of great teams?
Yeah, well, you know, everybody in 6 and 7 has great athletes.
Yeah.
It's just a matter when you match up, it's mismatches and things like that. Because on a given night, anybody can beat anybody. Because, you know, the kids are that talented. Because you see so many of them that goes on to the next level because they're just athletic.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you have some that are a little bit better than the others. You know, some of your bigger schools, like your 6 and 7As, like your Thompsons, they are so skilled at the wide receiver and quarterback position, and that's the difference in them being elite and, you know, and being a pretty good 6 or 7A team.
And is 2 and 3A, or especially 3A, is that one of the toughest brackets to come through?
Say again.
Is 3A the toughest bracket to come through in the state?
Yeah, I would think so. As a whole, now 2A holds their own when you throw in Pisgah and 5, but in 3A, oh Lord, yes. I mean, you've got teams like Gordo, Lauderdale County, Mars Hill, Madison Academy. and that ain't even talking about your Sylvania, Winfield, and Geraldines, who are very good. Yes, you can sit here and look at the 3A bracket, and there's no way you can sit here and figure out who's going to come out. Mars Hill Madison Academy plays this week, so one great football team's going to be eliminated. And who's going to beat Lauderdale County? They're undefeated. And, of course, we know how seasoned Sylvania and Geraldine are.
Yeah. Can you hit those games this week real fast before we bring in Coach Gilley?
Yeah. We're in Class 1A. Class 1A, it's Lynn's playing at Coosa Christian. Betterhead plays at Hackleburg. Winterboro goes to Pickens County, and South Lamar plays at Wadley. In Class 2A, Southeastern's on the road to Tuscaloosa Academy. Piz has got to hit the road. They play at Tanner. Fife's at home. They go against Lexington. And Sulligent, this is probably going to be Locust Fork's toughest test of the year so far. Sulligent travels into Locust Fork into the second round. In Class 3A, it is Geraldine. They've got to hit the road. They've got to go to Gordo. Lauderdale County goes to Piedmont. That'll be a great matchup. Round 2. Mars Hill Bible. This is probably the marquee matchup in Class 3A. Mars Hill Bible is at Madison Academy. Ooh. And, of course, the Sylvania Rams hosting a very good Winfield team. I think Sylvania, it's good they're playing this bunch at home.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a tough matchup. The only thing is if Sylvania does win, and, which we look to, hopefully they do, is they're either going to have to go to Mars Hill or Madison Academy next week. But you got to beat the best to be the best. So, that's just the way things shake out. In 4A, Priceville travels to Brooks. Westminster hosts Deschler. West Morgan's on the road. They're unbeaten. They play at Corner. Cherokee County's at home against Haleyville. In Class 5A, it is Ramsey at home against Leeds. Russellville travels to Moody. Gunnersville hits the road. They've got to go down to Birmingham and play John Carroll. Boaz gets to play Pleasant Grove. Pleasant Grove, outstanding team in Class 5A. They come to Boaz this week. In Class 6A, Oxford travels to Parker. Hartsville is at Gadsden City. Those two played during the regular season. I think it was 31-28. Hartsville won, so that's going to be a great second-round matchup. The Fort Payne Wildcats, they've got a tall order, but Fort Payne played very well at the end of the year, especially picked it up on the defensive side of the ball. They traveled to Muscle Shoals. Chalkville is at home against Mountain Brook. And then in 7A, Hoover goes to Hewitt-Trussville, and number 1 Thompson hosts Vestavia Hill.
All right, Phil. We'll take a break right after this, play a little commercial. But before we go to break, I'm going to make you pick one game, which I normally don't. I'm going to go ahead and pick it too. I like Mars Hill to win that big matchup. Who do you like over there?
I think as far as the schedule they have played, because Mars Hill plays a much tougher schedule than Madison Academy. Madison Academy is very talented, but I'm going to go with Mars Hill because I think they're going to be a little mentally tougher.
Yep. All right, folks. We're going to run a little River City commercial here. Just give us long enough time to get Coach Gilley and Cavin online. So give us about 30 seconds to get everything squared away. So just enjoy this little, hey, I made this commercial, Phil. Everybody should enjoy it. It's just, I'm not very talented when it comes to this stuff. We'll be back in just a second. Okay.
In the next minute.
Well, we'll get started with just you. We're on commercial. We'll bring you back, and Phil, you got us too. Phil, you there? Hey, Phil.
I'm not hearing you.
I'm not either. Let me get him in here real fast. Phil?
Hello?
Hey, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Coach Gilley, we got you. Okay, I'm just going to have to hang up and try again, Phil.
Yeah, because I could hear you a while ago. You just couldn't hear me.
Okay, give me just a second. I'll Coach Gilley? Okay, Phil, I'm just going to go home with.
Go get him?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. No problem.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, we're going to go without Phil. We can't. For some reason, it's not letting him be on, and I don't want the audio messed up on this one.
Okay. That's
All right.
fine.
All right. We're going live here in just a second.
Okay. Still waiting on Cavin, but he should be here in the next few seconds.
All right, Coach. Hey, we got everybody. Phil had to step away. We couldn't balance all the lines together, but we had these couple on these couple of gentlemen on earlier in the year, and we had audio mess up. And I think sometimes when I start networking all these channels together, I get it. But joining me first from the South Pittsburg Pirates, Coach Ricky Gilley. Coach, welcome aboard.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you having us back.
Oh, I love it. And I'm sorry about that audio last time. Somehow we lost a big gap of the interview. I've already told Phil, as you continue to win, we're going to have you bring you back and back more. But let's start while we're waiting on Cavin to get there, coming in to join you. Let's start with Clay County. I thought you were really going to face a test up there, but the kids really answered the bell for that game.
Yeah, we I honestly, breaking down film, they probably did more things than anybody outside of, coincidentally, Sequatchie, as far as alignments and things that I thought might give us a test. But I think it just came down to not so much X's and O's. I think it came down to kind of the old saying, the Jimmies and the Joes.
Yeah.
And we, it's no secret we've got a very talented group, and grateful these guys are on my team. But, with that being said, you got to line up, you got to play, and you got to do the things that you work on through the week and all that. But Clay is a very good fundamental team. I think they've got, I don't know the gentleman personally. I've heard a lot of things about him through the years. I know he's an older gentleman and does a fantastic job. And he had, he for what he's working with, he lost a huge group of seniors last year, that played for a state title. They lost that game, but to make it to the title game, that's a huge feat. That's something that we all strive to do, and so kudos to them. And from what I understand, he runs a class program. Kids played hard, and scheme wise, they were really fundamental and did a good job. We were just better that night.
Coach, the first 2 weeks, the young people or young men on your team have had a pretty good run at it. This week in the quarterfinals, things start to change a little bit. And I know you've been on a couple of these runs with different teams. Everybody henceforth is probably another level. You're talking about the top 8 teams in the state being left.
Yeah, it's a huge challenge this week. For one, since I've been involved in
with South Pittsburg, this being my second year. Last year, the second round, we got put out by the team that we're playing this upcoming Friday in the third round, Gordonsville. And they will probably be, if not the most well-coached team, at least one of the top couple. Our defensive coordinator here is good friends and has coached at different places with their head coach. And just a phenomenal coach from what I hear. You can turn on the tape and you can see that his guys are doing what needs to be done, handling business. And they're fundamentally, they're so sound. I don't know that he's got the team that he had last year. Last year, he had some 3- and 4-year starters, several of them, and they were just some of the best-looking kids that you could have. And he don't have those kids. He's got some good, talented kids, but a couple of those kids he just don't have. And so somebody's trying to break food here. Okay, are you still there?
Yeah, I got you, Coach Gilley.
Okay. Somebody's trying to call me. But anyway, they're going to be one of the most, if not the most, fundamental team. Their scheme is, I have, just breaking them down, I've really fallen in love with their offensive identity. Good Lord ever presents me an opportunity to be a head coach. I will hold on to a lot of the stuff that I broke down getting ready for this game, just because I like it that much, and they do a great job. The history of these two programs, for the people that may not know, usually in this single A on this east side, it comes down to South Pitt and Gordonsville, and whatever round that may be from year to year, it's usually those two teams. Now, there's a couple of years there's been some other ones, but as a majority, from my understanding, it's usually between those two teams to advance. So even though it's not a region rivalry or whatever you want to call it, it is a rivalry because it comes down to all the marbles and everything's at stake. So it's a huge game. It's the biggest game of the year, obviously. At every level, it just stamps up, and it's going to be a huge challenge for us. If we can get over the mental hurdle, I think we're going to have a good scheme. I mean, we had a great preparation this evening. We just walked off the field probably 20 minutes ago. Rushed over here to my classroom where I had somewhere quiet to be able to talk. But
yeah,
we have, we're going to have we're going to have them ready. But it's 16, 17-year-old kids. You just hope when the lights turn on that they will. You hear the saying, rise to the challenge. Well, the way I've been trained, it's not really rise to the challenge. It's really rise to your level of training. And if our guys will rise to their level of training, then I think we will, we'll throw our cards out and we'll see where the chips lay at the end of the night. But it is a huge challenge. It's a well-coached team. They're physical. The history between the programs. It's everything that high school football that you love about high school football. It's going to be hopefully a good night. Good cool Friday night. Everything's on the line. Unfortunately, at the end of the night, there's going to be some smiling faces and there's going to be some sad faces, and I've been on both of those ends. And I certainly hope the Pirates are able to walk off with their heads held high and smiling and moving on, continuing this extremely incredible season that me and my son both have been able to be a part of. It's just been a phenomenal ride so far, and I certainly don't want to see it end Friday.
Has Cavin been able to join us yet?
Yes, sir. He's right here.
Before we go to Calvin, I got one last question for you, Coach Gilley.
Yes.
Is the film that you get to break down, is the Whitwell film from last week, Is that one of the films you get to see? And how much does it aid you knowing Whitwell the way you do to see a film that is like Gordonsville Whitwell? Does that help then better than some random team in Gordonsville?
I think it probably helps somewhat just because I know a little bit about the scheme that Whitwell, runs both offensively and defensively with, obviously being in our region and having familiarity and breaking them down. And, it's, you spend hours and hours. People don't understand that's not into coaching. You can do less, but you're probably going to get less. We spend hours. I think I was up till I finally laid down last night at 3:10. That's 3 morning. Now, granted, this ain't a college or an NFL, but when you take pride in something, and all the stakes as high as this game is, I'm not going to be the weak link, so to speak. And so I want to do my due diligence and do my part to try to get our program, give our program the best chance to succeed. So I'll be up for several more hours tonight. It's a pride thing, I guess. I just want to make sure that we've not left any stone unturned. And it's amazing that even though you spend so much time, every time you go back, you tend to find something that you just overlooked.
Interesting.
Or maybe that you didn't catch the first time. But to answer your question specifically, yeah, I think we do have the Whitwell film.
Okay.
For sure. That I spent, like I said, probably 7 hours yesterday just breaking what we have down, and I'll continue working on that and picking up things. And this is not anything that we do here. I mean, I can bet you that Gordonsville's putting their due diligence in too, just knowing what I know about the coaching staff, although I don't really know them personally. Met the head coach a couple of times at the coaching clinic or whatnot, but I know those guys are working too, and they take pride in what they do, and this game means as much to them as it does us. So we got our hands full Friday, just because of the rivalry thing. Coach Stone has preached all year, really, but specifically, this week for sure. Don't compare scores. When you start looking at scores, you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Amen.
And so I believe our kids have really bought into the fact that, hey, we are going to take one game at a time, and that's what it's been. That's been Coach Stone's motto all year, is we want to win. We want to go 1-0 this week. That is the focus. We're not concerned about what's coming up, what's behind us. We want to go 1-0, and if we rise to the level of our training and our preparation, then we've got a good chance to go 1-0. And if we don't do that, then we'll all be sitting here come late Friday night, and we'll be thinking about the phenomenal season that we had, and sitting here thinking, man, what could have been if we would have just done this or this or this.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where it's at for both programs.
That sums up playoff football perfectly, and kind of leads me into the question I wanted to ask Cavin. Young Mr. Gilley, the linebacker, are you there with me?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Cavin, what does it mean to play football now that the grass is brown?
It's special. I'm glad my season's not over, especially being a senior. Last couple of years, I haven't really. I've played in a playoff game, but we haven't gone past the first round.
Kevin, is this being your senior year, and now you're into the quarterfinals, and I've talked to kids and young people at every school. Do you take a moment and appreciate where you're at, or is it you just keep working? Because I think with what your dad said and Coach Stone preaches, y'all don't take that second. You can't really afford to take that second to reflect yet.
It's always nice to win, but we're never satisfied. We want the gold ball.
Kevin, this was my number one question for you. Game 1. I think I saw you in game. I think we played game 3. What have you learned about being a linebacker over the last 12 weeks?
It's completely different than playing corner.
What do you like about it?
Oh, I mean, to be honest, corner is a lot more running, and linebacker is a lot more action. And I like the action factor.
How about the physicality? It seems like it's worlds difference.
Oh yeah, it's totally different. Instead of a 150-pound receiver on you, you got maybe 250 to 300 pounds in your face that you got to deal with. I mean, it's totally different.
What does it mean to get to practice against your teammates? Because I think what you see in practice, especially some of the guys that's on that offensive line for South Pittsburg, it's got to prepare you for Fridays.
Oh yeah, team day. I mean, we always try to lock in, and we just read our keys and do the best we can. And the guys across from us, they're always giving us the best they got.
I'll enter this for a second. I told our offensive line that they were having kind of a heated battle here. This might have been 2 weeks ago. And if the defense does something good, they kind of get hyped. A lot of them some of them are starters, but some of them are scout team because some of the starting D-line guys are offensive guys or whatnot. But so there's a little banter there back and forth. And I just went up to all of our offensive linemen and I said, guys, you're sitting here and you're getting so tore out of the frame. I said, does it not make you feel just a little bit better knowing that the guys that you're facing every day in practice is probably going to be better collectively than probably 8 out of 10 teams that you're going to play on any given Friday night? And when they thought of it, I just said, hey, don't get frustrated. Just keep working. And so I think it connected with them. I think they understood, you know what? If I can block these dudes, then I'm probably going to be all right come Friday. It's not always the case, but as everybody knows, we're deep, we're talented, we're deep. For a single A high school, we've got some quality backups that I don't mind putting in on any given play across the board if we needed to. We've got a couple at every position that if we've had to have them, and we have, and they've played and done their job, and that's all we ask them to do is do your job, rise to the level of your training. And do what you know to do. Don't try to do everybody else's job. Just do your job. And we've seen that come, into play throughout this whole year. And what it's also done is it's gave those young guys a lot of confidence. So when they do get in, it just, they're getting experience early, which is only going to benefit the program, for the future years. So yeah. Anyway, I wanted to interject about that, but.
I was coming back to you, Coach. Before I go back to Cavin, I have a question for both of you. I want to ask. I've seen stadiums all over the South, and something about your field, your home field advantage, it's intimidating to walk into it. As a coach that coaches there, tell me about your home field, and then I want Cavin to tell me what it's like to be there on a Friday night.
Well, South Pitt's a special place, and people that's part of the program or have came through the program, it's just a mindset, man. When I wasn't here, of course, I was like everybody else. I hated the Pirates because I never could beat them. But when you're part of the program, man, it really is a special. Because on any given Friday night, you've got a chance. They're going to be well coached. They're going to have good athletes. They're going to have, good talent for the most part, year in and year out. The stadium itself is just, man, the history. golly, the history. I mean, you think about, we just lost Bob Sherrill.
Yeah.
I know you probably heard of that. And funny story about Bob. When I first came to South Pittsburg last year, I was sitting in the coaching office. I'd never met Bob, but if you've ever heard his voice, even for just a few seconds, it's just iconic, and it's just one you never forget. Well, this elderly gentleman walked in, and I'm sitting there, with his distinct voice. He how you doing, young man? And I just looked at him, and I said, "You're Bob Sherrill." And he said, "Yes, sir." And I introduced myself, and he welcomed me to the family. And if you've ever heard his voice, and man, it's just sad that I guess God's going to call us all one day. But
yes, sir. What
that man meant to this program. I mean, I can remember when I played football here in my high school days, and hearing that voice, him call the games and do the voice stuff over the intercom. If you've ever heard his voice, I mean, it's just a special iconic voice.
It was the voice of South Pittsburg football.
Oh man, it's and there'll never be anybody like him, and that's sad. Coach Stone had some forethought, and they had him record some of his famous sayings, and probably one of the most iconic ones that I can remember is, he would always say "Showtime," and it just gets you pumped up when you hear it and you think about it. There's a few voice clips of him saying, "Welcome to Bean Stadium," or "The road to the state championship." I mean, they asked him to record several things. And when you think about that, it was like, man, that is so cool that you had him do that. He was willing to do it. He was honored to do it. And they've got this stuff that they will play periodically throughout the games or at the appropriate time, of the introductions or whatnot, that they will always have Bob's voice over that intercom. And I just thought, man, that's just super cool. And it's really awesome when you hear his voice and just kind of rekindle those memories of hearing him from when from my childhood, and what he meant to the program and the people of the South Pittsburg community.
That is well said, Coach, and very well said. And Cavin, as a player, that pirate ship always seems intimidating to me. What's it like to run out into that environment?
It's electrifying. It really gets you pumped up and gets you in the right mindset to play. Just walking across that pirate ship, just you get all eyes on you because that's what people are there for. And yeah.
Kevin, when you made your decision to transfer, and I don't want to ask you crazy questions. This is more about what was your expectations, and has it lived up to that?
To be honest, I mean, I really didn't have any expectations. I mean, coming to South Bend, I knew they had some athletes, but other than that, I didn't really know what to expect.
Were you surprised by the athletes on the field during practice? And I know, here's the funny thing, you had played against all these guys.
Yeah, I played against several of them, and many sports, not just football.
Well, what do you, I'm trying to figure out how to ask this. How many reps do you get offensive-wise per game now? I know you had a big touchdown catch a few weeks ago. You still get a few offensive-side reps during the game, correct?
Yeah, well, last game I started, and I played pretty much the whole game until it was about time for JV to go in. But I mean, I'm getting some good reps, and just you got to step up whenever players who get the most reps, go down and have to sit out for a while. But, yeah.
Cam, or Cavin, tell me about Cam, because I think maybe he is the best story in the state nobody knows. He is a phenomenal quarterback and running the football, but he also throws such a good ball.
Oh yeah, his ball is nothing like I've ever seen. I mean, first day of practice, I caught a ball from him, and I was like, that's incredible. Like I caught it, and it was like it was right there. It was perfect, and it had some heat on it. He throws that ball with some heat.
Yeah, Coach. Without a doubt, I know Cam probably at the next level is going to change positions, but this is a young man more than capable of playing at a high level of college football, don't you think?
Yeah, I personally think if he could find the right system to where he could be kind of that dual threat guy. I know that I know the bigger schools want, a 6'2", 6'3" quarterback, and he's not that. But man, he's got a big, strong arm. The things that he needs to continue working on, footwork and things that you just get more precise on at every level you go to. I'm not worried about that, because I know if he has the desire to do it and he gets the opportunity, he's a competitor. He's going to want to play. He's going to do exactly as they tell him to do, and he's going to get better at it. And the arm talent's there. I think we all seen that.
Yeah.
I think everybody's well aware of that. A 2 year in a row semifinalist for Mr. Football. He's just a pure talent, and I'm glad he's on my team. I mean, he's a competitor, but he's a humble guy. I love him. Got to saw him get saved at church here a couple of weeks back.
Hey man, and don't that mean the world?
Got to saw him get baptized. So, I don't hover over him. I give him his space. When I'm outside of football, I'm there if he needs me, and he knows that. He knows I love him. All these kids do. But it's just really, really special to be able to see that, because I know how big of a statement that is. The young man wanted to, make his life right and get his heart right, and just to see a kid who has got that much influence to do bad things, say, you know what, I don't really want to be that guy. I don't really want to live that lifestyle. And the fact that he's such a natural born leader, and he's so mature to the point to where he realizes, is he perfect? No, he's a kid. But he's made a conscious effort to try to do the right thing. I've been seeing him at church. He started visiting church that I've been visiting down here in South Pitt, and a lot of our kids go to that church, and it's a great thing to see these kids be mature enough to want that, to want to experience, and have faith in their lives. But he's talented, phenomenally talented kid. I think he will get an opportunity. He's already got several. It's just going to be a matter, he's going to have to decide, does he want to go play football? Does he want to go play baseball?
Yep.
So he'll have to sort through some of that stuff. But he'll be very successful at whatever he ends up deciding to do. But no, he's a great leader for our program, and he was accepting, as they all were, of my boy when he came in. So that's, as a father, we'll take the coaching thing aside. As a father, when your kids are involved, you want them to be included. You want them to be accepted. And it's hard when you try to switch schools in your senior year, and it's just and both of my boys, had to do it. My oldest boy didn't really have an option. I gave Cavin the option because I saw how it affected on the first time, and I just didn't want to do that again. But so you just want them to be accepted. You want them to be a part. And the kids seem to love him and accept him, and he's fit in well, and he's got his roles, and he's helped our program. He's brought a lot of great value to our program. As a father, you get a little bit emotional when you think about it, to be honest. How rewarding it is to be able to see your kid out there every day. And not just in any program. I mean, we've got a legit shot to make it and play for a state championship, and there's not too many stories out there that happens like that.
No, sir.
But man, it's powerful, and it's just been such a great ride, and it's been an honor for him to come and be with me, and it's everything I hoped it would have been. Obviously, I knew we had a talented group, but I've had other talented groups that I've been a part of that got hit in the face and didn't know how to respond. So I hope that's not the case. But win, lose, or draw, it's been a phenomenal year. And it's just been time together that's irreplaceable.
Absolutely. Cavin, I came down when you played at Sequatchie County, where you transferred to South Pittsburg. And I got a picture with you and your girlfriend, Faith, who I think the world of too. I think you may have been the most hugged person in that stadium that night, because your Sequatchie County ex-teammates, all of them were dabbing you up, and of course, your new family over at South Pittsburg. You've really been blessed to be part of two phenomenal environments.
Yeah, for sure.
Cavin, tell me, I'll let you go after this question. Tell me about some of your dad talked about it a little bit, or Coach Gilley. Tell me about some of your teammates. South Pittsburg gets a bad rap sometimes. Oh, they're all about football. They're all about this. I've never went up there and not had every young person, young man, young woman treat me with total respect. There's good things happening in South Pittsburg in football and outside of football. You really got good things going up there, right?
Yeah.
A couple of your teammates being recruited. That's a big honor for you too, as a teammate, to see Cam nominated for a semifinalist. You had two semifinals, and that's really a lot of a team reward. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's something special. I mean, I feel like that should be what's the word? Congratulated. I feel like it's something that should be celebrated, and I mean it's something that's very special, and that doesn't happen often.
Yeah, get to root for your teammates. So going to Gordonsville, coming in town, your last shot tonight on here. Tell everybody in South Pittsburg why it's big to get out Friday night and support this football team.
They put them out last year, and that's you never want that. So I mean they're trying to prove everybody wrong and take the W.
Thank you, Cavin. I appreciate your time. I know you just got off the field. Anywhere in the world you could be right now. I appreciate you taking your time to be with me, and I really do, buddy.
Thank you.
Coach Gilley, same question to you, and I'll let that end tonight. Tell folks why it's so important to get out and support this. And again, I'll say it, and you can even respond. Add a little to it. Great kids up in South Pittsburg doing great things. And it's important for us to get out and support this Friday night. I actually think I'm going to be there Friday night.
Well, we'd love to have you. And yes, we do have great kids. Every community has got their fair share of things that go on or whatnot. But the kids in the program and the kids that are in this school, our administration here is phenomenal. Our principal, Paige Hill, I don't know if you're familiar with her, but
yes, sir.
She's a jewel. She's a lifer here. She went to school here. She taught here. I don't know that she's ever had a job outside of here. And now she's the principal. So she is a wonderful leader. Our assistant principal, Coach Grider, Heath Grider. Of course, the Grider name. their daddy Don, and then his brother Vic was the head coach here for many, many years and won a lot of state titles and whatnot. But our administrators are just phenomenal people, and they're easy to work with. And I love working for them, to be honest with you. They run a good school here. Kids are good. So yeah, I mean, we do need a big turnout. Kids feed off energy, high energy. The louder, pack the stadium. Gordonsville they'll bring a big crowd. The place should be rocking on Friday. I mean, it should be electric. I can't wait for Friday to get here. But we've got some preparation to do, but yeah, hopefully everybody can come out and. Unless you're driving to Chattanooga or somewhere else, I mean, we're the only show in town. So,
yes, sir.
I expect it to be a full capacity packed house, and hopefully we get that cannon rolling.
Yeah, that cannon's intimidated. Coach, you and Cavin, I tell you what you do. Let's make a deal. Let's plan on meeting on Monday night, 2 weeks from now, and having another conversation. And hopefully we'll get to have that conversation live here on River City Media. I appreciate you and Cavin taking the time. I don't know if he's with you, but I'll tell you, you have a fine young man there with you. And I think a lot of Cavin, and I wish nothing but the best of luck to y'all Friday night.
Well, I greatly appreciate it. I appreciate you having us on again, and it's quite an honor. And I'm hoping these Pirates can make everybody proud that's in this community come Friday night when that horn blows. So if y'all can make it out, we'd love to have anybody that's wants some good, clean family entertainment for a reasonable price. It should be electric.
Absolutely. Coach Gilley, thank you for your time, and I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll get to do this again very, very soon. And I appreciate your time too.
All right, thank you. It's been an honor, and hopefully we can do it again here soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Coach Gilley.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Sorry, Phil had to drop off. I want to take a second to talk about Valley football and why we all talk about Valley football. And that's one of the Valley football teams. South Pittsburg, Marion, Sequatchie, Bledsoe. Friday night, he's right. He's the last team standing. So everybody, please, and I'm going to get out, drive from Chattanooga, hopefully get to see this Gordonville, South Pittsburg game. Let's all get out and support this team. Great young folk, great coaching staff. And here at River City Media, we're proud this week to get to be a South Pittsburg Pirate. And we'll be rolling with the Pirates this week, next week, and hopefully all the way to Finley Stadium. I want to thank Cavin Gilley, Ricky Gilley for their time. Phil Harris, who couldn't get back in to talk to Coach Gilley. But we'll see you next Monday and here on Beyond the Booth. Thank you. God bless you, and be safe.